The writing of the opinion is when the majority side of the vote puts its opinion down on paper. This is called the majority opinion. If the Chief Justice is part of the majority, he or she decides who writes the opinion. Otherwise, the senior member of the majority decides.
The opinion must be drafted, then agreed to by each individual member of the majority. There are also a few different kinds of opinions that can be written.
A concurring opinion is an opinion written by a member of the majority decision that disagrees with the reasoning. A dissenting opinion is an opinion which disagrees with the majority and discusses the minority opinion.
But why justices vote one way or another is the heart of the judicial branch. Several legal and extra-legal factors can influence a Supreme Court justice's voting patterns. Legal factors include judicial philosophies and precedents.
Judicial philosophy is made up of two dueling viewpoints, judicial activism and judicial restraint. Judicial activism is belief that judges should use their powers to influence and further justice and policy, while judicial restraint, also known as strict constructionism, asserts that as non-elected officials, judges should stay away from trying to make new policies.
Outside of judicial philosophies, the other legal influence on Supreme Court rulings is precedent. Precedent is using prior decisions to determine the outcome of a current case.
We also said extra-legal factors also influence the justice's decisions. The important extra-legal factors for you to know and conquer are behavioral characteristics, ideology, attitudinal model, and public opinion.
Behavioral characteristics refer to the individual social backgrounds of the justices and how they affect their personal opinions of issues. These background characteristics include race, sex, religion, socioeconomic background, and more. Ideology is the part of the political spectrum that individual justices will fall in. Like, is the justice conservative or liberal? These personal opinions will influence how they will vote on issues, especially those involving federalism. Attitudinal model refers to how justices may decide cases based on their own personal preference for public policy. They're human, right? And all of us have our own ideas on what's right and what's wrong. So do Supreme Court justices. Lastly, public opinion is sure to have a great influence on the Supreme Court's voting patterns. What the people think does matter, and the justices get plenty of that from the briefs, the lobbying, and the media. Pleasing the public is actually important to the court, even though they are not elected officials. Without the public's respect and support, the court would lose much of its prestige.
Loss of prestige means loss of power. And along with that, when a court decision results in a need for implementation, it is the public the court must rely on. The people legitimize laws by accepting or denying them.
For example, when the Supreme Court ruled school segregation was unconstitutional in Brown versus the Board of Education, it took much effort before the Southern population finally accepted it.
Time to wrap our program. Belif! Chin chinnery, chin chinnery, chin chin chinnery.